technology and some outcome. So our goal always is to empower people with technology. I think the presentations we've had so far are really great. We're hearing a lot of great research and a lot of challenges. And I think a lot of times we are, or can be, the linchpin that helps technology flourish in the hands of older adults. And we've had a lot of success in different settings, so I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about that today. Some of our programs, what we do, and then I just have an interesting little expose on a little survey we did about smart home use and interest among our group, because I thought it sort of fits in with the RCN and some of the things we're talking about. So, this is something that, when we talk about technology and we talk about aging, a lot of people see Senior Planet and Older Adults Technology Services as that we're just, we're teaching tech skills. We're just there to kind of confer these very basic digital literacy skills, which is not really what we're doing. We're trying to advance people. We often say that we're conduits to empowerment, so we're trying to provide opportunities for people. But often, the technologies that we see, or the technologies that we see developed specifically with aging in mind, we feel like are either missing the mark, or they're not properly attuned to the needs of the main demographic they're intended to serve. So this particular example, every year we go to the Consumer Electronics Show. David is often with us. And we kind of hunt around for technologies that may be applicable or appropriate in some way for older demographics. And when we were there, this was last year, there was this aging suit, right? So this guy is in this suit that's supposed to mimic what it feels like to have mobility impairments and to be having all of it. It's called the R70i aging suit, right? So they had all these people lined up waiting to try on this suit to, I guess, embody what it feels like to be older, right? So I think a lot of times the technology is just not brought together in a way that listens to the population and also makes people feel like they're being heard. Like if I was an older adult and I was at CES and I saw this, it would anger me, frankly. And we've showed this to our members. We have thousands of members in New York City and around the nation, and it bothers them. They have a negative, visceral reaction to this, right? And I think a lot of technology is sort of over-engineered for aging, and there are a lot of solutions that are appropriate that I'll talk about that don't have to completely rethink the wheel or be some sort of amazing, overcomplicated solution to things that can be solved with a lot of mainstream technologies, and that's kind of what we're all about. So what we do really quickly, we engage, we train, and then we support. A lot of people come to us because we're the only people that will listen to them when they have some sort of need with technology. We're very approachable. Our curriculum is all based on adult learning theory principles, and it's, we have 3 PhDs that are all write our curriculum, so it's not just kind of us sitting in, a closet cranking out, how-tos. It's very well thought out. The methodology is very clear, precise, and we've also developed a whole assortment of metrics with Cornell University to help assess our program impacts, which I'm happy to share with you guys because I know there's a lot of researchers here, that incorporate elements from important tools in the field like the DSSI, but also then bring in elements of our programs to create, we can really actually see when we're creating change among our participants. So it's really powerful, and I think that we're probably the most advanced program in the nation that's doing this specific work and can actually demonstrate the results. Here's just a couple of quick stats about, we've been around since 2004. We started in New York City originally. Since then, we've grown. We opened our Senior Planet space in Manhattan in 2012. If you're ever in the city, stop by. It's really an amazing space. This picture is what it looks like inside. So it's a very open, it kind of feels like an Apple store, but it's super communal. People come there to hang out. We have technology that you can use at any time. Membership is free. We have programs from computer basics to I want to build a website online and I need help, creating my website so I can sell products. It's a really wide range of practical services. We also do mobile training, so we have cars that are equipped with technology that we can kind of disperse anywhere and just roll up. The cars are equipped with LTE. We have tablets in there and everything's charging so we can kind of do on-demand training wherever. And that's just the map on the right here. We also have 22 partner labs around the 5 boroughs that we built at the same time that we built Senior Planet that we operate and support technically. So we have places that people can't come to us. They can go out in their neighborhood and participate. We also have a lot of digital engagement. So we have seniorplanet.org. It's a pretty highly trafficked website for an organization of our size. We have about 150,000 people going there a month. And it's really about lifestyle. So when you go on there, there's not a whole lot about technology. A lot of what's on the website is about aging, right? We're really about aging, we're not about technology. So when you go on there, you'll see topics and content that people who are older, they feel it, they embody it. So it kind of, sometimes when you go on the website, it's a little bit different than the work we're doing on the ground, but that's intentional. We also have Senior Planet University, which is a new online learning portal that we created that enables people to interact with content remotely. And it also is something we use in our programs as a blended learning tool. So if people are home, they can participate in our programs from wherever they are. And it also provides a link back to Senior Planet for however long they are interested in participating once their courses end with us in person. And I wanted to talk about rural engagement because I feel like this came up a lot. Rural is definitely a huge issue. It's a huge need. And the rural populations, across the nation are, facing a lot of challenges. And in northern New York State, the North Country region, so it's the 7 counties here that border Canada. We, in 2015, were actually given a grant by the New York State Empire State Development Office and the New York State Office for the Aging, because what Governor Cuomo is doing is trying to build out broadband infrastructure, and they approached us to help with the adoption, getting people to use it. So we opened a Senior Planet in Plattsburgh, right? So we have another flagship space in Plattsburgh and a bunch of satellites in Franklin and Clinton counties where we're doing our programming, and we've adjusted it with a rural focus, and it's been unbelievably successful. I have a couple of reports with me. If anyone's interested, I could give them to you afterwards, or I can email it. But there's a huge need in rural communities to have digital engagement, and the infrastructure now in New York State, even in rural places like Malone, New York, they have high-speed broadband in a lot of these areas now. So you can go to Malone, New York, and you can get 100 meg download connections in a place that only a couple of hundred people live, and that's a testament to the governor's push to have broadband for all. Right? It's a really, really big initiative that they're trying to push out, and we went up there. Our programs needed to be adjusted because we had only really done urban and suburban programming. So we did things like, we still did our live training, we still opened a big space in Plattsburgh, but what we did is we started doing at-home trainings, and we also started offering an alternative to the traditional computer lab. This is what's called the tech spot, and this is actually installed in Malone, New York in the Adult Center, and it's kind of an innovative, I don't want to call it a kiosk, but it has all sorts of different technology in it. Every operating system you can imagine is in there: Windows, Mac, Chrome. There's iPads in that charging case below that are charging, that can be wheeled out and used whenever. There's robots, there's drones, there's health devices. There's this whole assortment of different devices for people to just engage with. It's meant to be an engagement piece. And we also can deliver our programming there because there's so much technology in it. And it's kind of it turns what a computer lab, the traditional sense of what people think of when people are learning new technologies, it kind of turns it on its head and makes it part of the environment. This is actually, so this wall, if you look away from this wall, is where everyone eats. And they do about 120 meals a day there. It's pretty busy. And it's Malone, New York, okay? So it's really, really close to Canada. So people can pop up, they can grab an iPad, they can take over one of our drones. We have a telepresence robot that a lot of our members in New York City actually can take control of and wheel around the Malone Adult Center and talk to people remotely. Really, it's a really innovative kind of twist on traditional, digital literacy programming. And Senior Planet at Home, we launched because we realized there were a lot of people in rural geographies, especially in the North Country. There's weather elements, a whole assortment of different challenges. So we started going to people's homes. We bought vehicles and we're able to go through any weather conditions and provide our trainings one-on-one to people in their homes. And that's been really, really successful. And here's just a couple of stats of what we've seen. So, we've gotten to 50% of the eligible population up there in less than 3 years. It's pretty good. Median age, and so we were brought up there as people who were supposed to help with broadband adoption, right? That's a very boring way to talk about what we do. I'd like to think of this as social change makers, not people who help get you subscribed for broadband, but we were successful at getting a third of our people on broadband. That's pretty wild. That's a really high statistic. And 40% purchase a device. I have other numbers I can share if you're interested, but and 83% just said that their general quality of life improved after participating in our program. So it's a testament to the fact that digital literacy is a need regardless of the community, regardless of the engagement approach. People want this, and I think it's on us sort of as a society to acknowledge that and provide the funding and resources to make these services available for people wherever they are. And just as a little aside before I wanted to talk a little bit, it's a little of a divergence of what I've been talking about, but we have been doing a lot with smart home technology. So we've been messing around with lighting and playing with Alexa and you name it, we have it. Come to Senior Planet, it's just basically overrun with different smart home stuff. It's kind of, you walk in, it's kind of overwhelming. But we wanted to figure out from people their interest in smart home, right? Because we find that people underestimate and underappreciate people's interest as they grow older in technology. So we wanted to do a little bit of a non-scientific survey about what people were thinking with smart home. So if you had to guess, we sampled close to 1,000 people. How many people do you think own the smart home technology? And this is people who are 60 and above. And yell some numbers out there. How many people do you think own the smart home technology, percent-wise? 10%? Anybody? 50? Okay, what else? So 63% actually own a smart home technology, right? So we were pretty surprised by that too. We thought it would be 20 to 40 maybe. And it was the whole gamut. It wasn't just, everyone just assumes that someone has, an Amazon Echo or something really basic, but a lot of these people had the Nest thermostat because they're trying to save money on their, heating bills. They had, pretty advanced lighting systems. They had the smart doorbell so they could see people at the door. A whole range of things, which I could share too. We have it all broken out. And this one I thought was really interesting. Over 50% said that it would make them more likely to move into a senior living community if smart home technology was present. So the reason I brought this up is just because I think you wouldn't expect these results, and it kind of demonstrates that there's sort of this subterranean desire and need that is not unlocked by the confines of our society and what we are sort of putting out. Because when you do a sample, this was totally anonymous, the sample, but when you do something like this, you actually see the desire. And the number one reason people did not adopt, lack of instruction, right, and support. So that's where we come in. So I just want to talk about that quickly. So I'm almost done. I think some of the big takeaways I would say in terms of engaging older adults with technology is that, being mobile, being flexible, liberating the typical computer lab is really important. Thinking outside the box is really important. We really hardly ever do the same thing twice. We're always iterating and innovating and creating new strategies to engage people. So something we also did in the rural North Country is we wanted to do something with drones, right? And people are like, older adults are never going to use drones. There's no reason for them. Why would you use drones? So what did we do with drones in the North Country? We provided them to farmers who had really, really large plots of land, so hundreds of acres that needed to inspect their land, and showed them how to use drones to fly over their land, fly over their corn silos or crop silos, and actually do things that they couldn't do. They might not be able, they couldn't get through different environments, like there were trees, or they couldn't walk that far because the property was so big, and they were able to see complete aerial pictures of their land. That's a innovative application to drones and older adults. I think there's always there's a lot of kind of people who are kind of waiting for the technology to advance. Don't wait, it's time. Now is the time. Engage people in any way you can with technology. It doesn't have to be some kind of revolutionary approach. Think about what's mainstream and adapt it. This picture is actually our Team Senior Planet program. So we have a health and wellness program where we actually provide Fitbits to the participants, and then we take them to the gym 3 times a week. They work out together. We have a 250-page curriculum that goes through the machines, exercises, nutrition advice, and then the tech angle is that we help people take their Fitbit data and track it. So when they come back, we have it syncing with pulse ox, blood pressure, wireless scales, and then you can upload all that data into your Fitbit dashboard so people can get a sense of where they're going and where they're headed. And we set goals. So that's like an innovative approach. There's a little bit of technology in there, but not a lot. People come, these 3 women are from Long Island City in Queensbridge, largest housing development in the nation. They come because they want to see each other. They like the Fitbit, but they're there for each other. They're there for the community aspect. And you can see they're just jamming out on some ellipticals and bikes. Things that I would say to look for is that a lot of times I think that there's too much advancement and not enough adoption. We're always talking about these technologies that are just mind-blowing. They're going to the next level. But people don't focus enough on getting people to use them and using strategies that are effective in doing so. So it doesn't matter how advanced something is if you don't spend the time listening to people and working with them and supporting them to get them at a point where they're comfortable. Never underestimate older adults, ever. I'll leave you with one quick story. About 2 years ago, we started doing a lot of workforce development programming, and we were helping people create businesses online. A woman came to us who was facing eviction. She had lost her job, didn't have enough income. She was 72, and we got her on a site called Elance. She used to be a writer, right? And Elance is a site where you can go online and post bids for jobs. For writing, whatever people are asking for, different sorts of writing. And she was able to actually become the 5th highest E-Lancer, right? And she's making $46,000 a year just writing freelance, electronic proposals and other work online. And it saved, she's kind of like, we hold her in this high regard, but it saved her life and her livelihood, and all through a very, very simple application of technology. It wasn't advanced, we just basically showed her the options and helped her get there, and so there's so much possibility, and we're just kind of here trying to wave and say, like, let's do it together. So that's it.
Thank you.